What's up, Crusher Crew? This is kind of a response video or a reaction video where I need to kind of tell my side of the story. A former colleague of mine, Brent Stone, who owns a company called Museum of Tarot, yesterday went on the Danny Jones Concrete podcast. And at about the 43 to 44-minute mark, right around there, my name popped up. And in the course of that conversation, Brent said a lot of things that were a little bit defamatory towards me, even though he said he didn't want to talk about me. He definitely said my name. He mentioned my trademark name and then said a bunch of stuff like alleging that I planted a virus on his computer and that I was a suppression agent and that I was part of disinformation trying to get him involved in conspiracies about MK Ultra and DARPA and mind control and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to get into that, go through the actual clip, let him tell his side of the story, and then I'll give you guys my response. And in the meantime, up front, I want to make you all aware that up at the top of the screen, I will include iCards. So there's going to be little pop-ups, these little buttons that pop up, and so that you can go verify everything for yourself. So if he mentions a story like that he came up to Mount Wilson Ranch, I'll put the link up there and you can go click that iCard and go watch the entire video series where Brent came up to Mount Wilson Ranch and we worked together and we actually discovered a lot of the stuff that he's talking about together. And you can also go onto my YouTube channel, look at my playlists, and there's an entire playlist that I'll include also as iCards and links down in the description box below, where you can see I talk about all of this stuff. And I even filmed and recorded and live streamed several occasions where we made these discoveries together. And they were spontaneous discoveries and how we were all shocked about how some of this stuff could be true. And so let's go ahead and get into it. I want to give Brent the opportunity to tell his side of the story because honestly, a lot of the stuff that he says is really shocking. And it's a side of ufology and a side of this research and work that is unfortunately a part of it that comes up all the time that we have to get into. So let's go ahead and check this out. So here is Brent. I still consider Brent a friend. And I just want to say again, right up front, that I know that this was going to happen. I knew that this was going to happen to a lot of my friends. And whenever I start working with colleagues, or even if I get invited to go work with like a group of people as part of like a tour or a specialized research group somewhere, I have the same conversation with everybody. I explain to them what the actual skinwalker hitchhiker effect is. And what it is very similar to this thing like gold fever that used to happen during the gold rush days, where a group of friends who all have good intentions, they get working on a quest together, trying to solve something or trying to get the gold out of the gold mine. But in the process, the individual interests or the way that things unfold, or as soon as you run into the first problems or conspiracies or stress on the group, people will fold, they crack, they get paranoid, and they turn on each other, they backstab each other, and it all falls apart. And if people don't hold on to the core of their genuine integrity and their intentions and their reasons for being there, they're going to lose sight of that and they're going to all turn on each other and the group of the fellowship is going to fall apart. And I have that conversation over and over with everybody that I work with, and it still happens. They end up going through divorces, they go home and they go through problems with their finances, or they start getting gang stalked by spooks or different weird things happen. And all of a sudden, when it gets real, they can't handle the pressure. And even though I tell them that it's going to happen and this is what it looks like and this is how it's going to affect your life, even though I show them all the warnings up front, they still fold under that pressure time and time again. And then they turn around and get mad at me like I did it to them. So without being said, let's go through this and know that I told Brent that up front. When I went on the expedition with Chris Bartell, Chris Lado, Brent Stone, and my friends, and we went to Mount Wilson, and we went to all these ancient petroglyph locations and up through Zion National Park and all that, I told them that if you're going to get involved in this work, this shit can follow you home and it's going to disrupt your life. And it absolutely did every single one of them in negative ways, in different ways. Every single one of them. Okay, so this is all my talk up front, but let's go ahead and get into what Brent has to say, and then we'll break it down, because Brent is not the only one. This happened to the owner of Mount Wilson Ranch. It's happened to the archaeologist that I worked with. It happened to another friend of mine, Dave. I'll go ahead and mention his name because we had a whole falling out, and then he came back and apologized, and we made up for it. I've had cease and desist letters from lawyers sent to me from close friends of mine, like out of nowhere, and then been able to work it out and still be their friend. Like, you wouldn't even believe it, but what this is really like to try and do this kind of work. So let's go through this video. Let's let Brent talk. So then everything that I'm saying will actually make sense.
With get away from his seedy background.
Can you hear me?
He came up
Okay.
with a
Hang on.
wave
Let me fix
that
this.
if you pulsed it over a 60
I realized my
hertz
audio was
electrical,
bad there.
you know, the wiring within a house.
Okay, here we go.
On the Lily wave.
The Lily wave?
I did a video called, it was on John Lilly. Now, people who are into entheogens will know all about John Lilly.
Oh, yeah, I know about John Lilly.
He was doing ketamine and...
He was doing a NASA-funded research on dolphins with LSD.
Yeah, NASA and naval intelligence, and he was apparently he fucked one at one point. That's bad. But the guy that was giving him the ketamine was Louis Jolly and West from MK Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
And he was getting it from Jolly, and he came up with... Get away from his seedy background. He came up with a wave that if you pulsed it over a 60 hertz electrical, you know, the wiring within a house, it could control the human mind. It could basically shut you down and turn you into a walking zombie where you don't have full control of your faculties. And they found the Lily wave. Pat Flanagan actually analyzed what was coming through his wall, and when Lily was coming to visit him and said, you know, this is coming through my wall. What is that? And Lily's like, oh, you found my wave. I did a whole video on this. It's, yeah.
Lily, I mean, I didn't know
it was
Jolly West knew about electromagnetics and stuff like this.
Okay, we could get into Jolly and West. Jolly, he was involved. He was part of the oversight committee for the Stanford research remote viewing experiments.
Okay, before we get too into the woods on this, on Stanford, and going into the labyrinth of trying to understand all of this, notice right now that Brent is wearing a necklace that is his branded Halo pulsar. And down at the bottom of the necklace, he has invented a device, because Brent is a really smart guy. He actually has like multiple degrees and doctorate degrees, which is why like I wanted to work with him. Like, but these Halo pulsars, the whole point of them is that when you wear them, you can adjust the dials on them in the settings, and they will basically create an electromagnetic field bubble around you, like a force field, to keep you safe, to protect you. So part of the whole reason why I was like really wanted to work with Brent was because I knew that going up around some of these places, like up around Skinwalker Ranch territory and Blind Frog Ranch and all of this, half of the time we're running into these stories about bizarre anomalous radiation. And you see Gary Nolan and Kit Green and these other people coming out of the government talking about getting dosed by radiation. Like Thomas Winterton on the Skinwalker show got that big like radiation lump on the back of his head and all of that, right? And so all of this was going on. The idea of working with Brent was that when I went up and started working around this area, one of the first things that I ran into with the locals was all of these effects. Like, how do we keep ourselves safe when these dangerous waves of radiation or energy might come through and hit you or dose you? And how are we going to be able to know whether it's from ultra terrestrials or from a buried UFO? like everybody's telling us that it has to do with something paranormal or supernatural, like UFOs or aliens. How are we going to know that or tell the difference between that and if it's some kind of a radar system or a satellite system, some kind of a phased array, like a non-lethal directed energy weapon system, right? Like, how would we know the difference if we can't even go explore the place or research the place to look around and stay safe? So part of the whole reason was that when I went up to work around that whole region up in the Uinta Basin and then started going over to Mount Wilson Ranch, I was looking for ways to stay safe. And so I tried to form a team of people that would be like the X-Men, so that these energetic waves like the Lily wave or these radiation frequencies or different types of things that could affect us or cause us to hallucinate, we could stay safe and protect ourselves. And so part of the reason that I wanted to work with Brent to begin with is because he had invented these halo pulsars, right? And these headsets that could help us keep our brain waves stabilized, monitor our consciousness, and balance out our electromagnetic fields of our bodies to kind of shield us from the dangerous effects of getting close to whatever it is, if it's a UFO or some government experiment or some abandoned equipment that Howard Hughes buried underground and left that's like still turned on for some reason. Like, we needed a way to get close to that and to try and stay safe, right? And so the halo pulsars was something that I was like, we need that. Like, I want to walk around with that device on. And I would even better would be to have Brent be the lead scientist on our team. And not only that, there's direct historical connections because Bob Bigelow owned the property to Skinwalker Ranch. And so we have to understand that this is all mixed up and we got to stay safe. And like, how did he not know that going in? So anyway, let's listen to him talk. So the whole reason that I wanted to work with Brent was because of those halo pulsars, and that I wanted him to be like on my team of X-Men of specialists that could be like our lead scientist to help keep us safe from that Lily wave or from any kind of anomalous phenomena, whatever it was. So let's keep going.
And he was doing that with overseeing Dr. Christopher Kit Green. There you go. We can get into some interesting things.
Oh, really? He was working with Kit Green?
He was his mentor, apparently.
What?
That's what I heard. And Kit Green went to bat for him in a couple of statements where people were asking why Jolly did what he was doing. And yeah, Kit Green was involved with that. He's the one that was doing those brain scans on people who were getting directed energy weapons, allegedly shot at them on Skinwalker Ranch. The guy that leaked that to me was one of the guards on Skinwalker Ranch, Chris Bartell. And
oh, really? He gave you this book?
Leaked it to me, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I never came public with that because I didn't know if it was disinformation they were trying to get me to run with, because I had come out with too much before that.
Sure.
Okay, so let's break this down just a little bit. So the only reason that Brent even knows Chris Bartell is because I introduced the two when I was trying to form my team, right? My research team. So when I went up to a convention up in the Uinta Basin, I went up there and I met Chris Bartell and we became friends, and we did a whole bunch of work together with him and James Keenan. And we ended up going to Skinwalker Ranch and doing a lot of research. And a lot of what we did was a combination of going to ancient petroglyph sites, and testing for electromagnetic waves up in these ancient canyons. We even went up into underground cave systems and tried to measure electromagnetic field and radiation waves to test the underground systems, even the aquifer where the water flows underneath the Uinta Basin. And we even went and tested all the electromagnetic fields and energy waves on the power grid and the power lines that run across the mesa up above Skinwalker Ranch to see if it was conducting any phenomena through the ground. Not only that, we also went to a satanic ritual house that was abandoned, an empty ritualistic house. And we went in there and we did electromagnetic field studies and radiation studies. We went to all these different varieties, and even ancient Native American sites and petroglyph sites, pictograph sites and stone circles, as well as going to Skinwalker Ranch. So we were doing all of that together. And Along the way, when we were doing that, we started uncovering that Gary Nolan, he was coming out on Fox News on the Tucker Carlson show and talking about how when people have encounters with UFOs, that a lot of times they will have an effect on the brain called interference syndrome that's very similar to Havana syndrome. And in that conversation on Tucker Carlson on Fox News, Gary Nolan actually shows an MRI of a brain scan of a patient that had interference syndrome. And it just so happened to be the MRI from my friend Chris Bartell. It even had his patient number still left on the MRI, on the brain scan that was shown on the Tucker Carlson show. And at the same time, we're piecing a lot of this stuff together, and Chris Bartell shows me that there's an actual study that was going on during this whole time around the Skinwalker Ranch area that involved doing research on effects between paranormal phenomena, UFOs, radiation effects, different types of systems, and how it can cause like microwave brain damage on the brain, and how there was different dangers and different stuff, and a lot of different compartmentalized secret government programs. That's what was that document that Brent just had basically published, and I guess looked like he had it printed in a notebook and just handed across the table to Danny Jones in the podcast. And that is actually a classified document that was taken by Dr. Hal Puthoff, Dr. Jim Segala, Brandon Fugel, and Eric Bard from Skinwalker Ranch, all the way to Washington, D.C., as part of a testimony that was given to Congress as real evidence for paranormal interactions. So when he says he's not sure if it's like a mix of truth or if it's a mix of pseudoscience, a lot of that was like the core medical stuff that was classified that had to do with phase 1 of the Modular Unidentified Phenomena Alert System study, which was trying to pay attention to the community around Skinwalker Ranch and that whole region and even other places for people that were experiencing effects that they felt like they were seeing UFOs in the sky. They were having abductions and paranormal encounters. Dr. Jim Segala and that whole team, and Hal Puthoff, they were trying to find ways to capture that energy as it was going into people's houses and affecting them, and seeing where it was coming from, if it was gamma waves, infrasound, microwave radiation, or whatever. So they were building sensors to try and catch that energy going in and out of people's homes. And all of that evidence was matched up with medical records from people that worked at the ranch during the Bigelow era. And all of that was compiled together into a classified document and was taken to the basically Washington and testified before members of the Senate and congressmen and probably people at the Pentagon. So the whole thing, this is what it is talked about in the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon that came out. So a lot of this stuff goes in deep. So when I was up around that region with Chris Bartell and we were doing all of these experiments in these different locations, we were looking for this anomalous energy, not knowing, is this a government secret program where they're doing experiments on the community and on people? Or is this actually a phenomena, like a real UFO and real paranormal thing that's going on that's connected to the ancient indigenous cultures? So we're trying to sort all of that out together. And as we're doing that, we're trying to build a team in order to solve the problem. So we have Chris Bartell, who was actually working at the ranch as a security guard under Bigelow for 8 years, had all of his experiences there, actually had an MRI done, had the interference syndrome, is a part of that whole study, and then is talked about on Fox News with Tucker Carlson and Gary Nolan about those effects. And so Chris tries to share this information with me, and so we share it with Brent, and we're like trying to show him to make him aware of it. And you'll see what happens. But ultimately, instead of Brent like looking at that to see what was really going on and the real efforts, He looked at all of it, got all paranoid about it, was convinced that it had to do with like DARPA mind control systems. And he apparently started accusing me and Chris Bartell of being disinformation agents. So that's what we get for trying to like show him something, some information about the research that was going on during the Bigelow era. But basically that document that he just handed across the table to Danny Jones is an entire document that was classified, that was done under Dr. Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis out of their institute, Earth Tech, out of Texas. And they were the ones contracted. And that is basically when people are like, how come Bob Bigelow never released the scientific research that they did from Skinwalker Ranch when they were there? How come that was never made public? Well, that's it. That's a good chunk of it. That the Brent just handed across the table it's a classified document allegedly that Brent has published and put in a binder and is passing around. He's probably selling it on his website. And that's actually, I think, supposed to be still classified, but I don't know. But anyways, when I discovered that same document and uncovered it on a few different occasions when we were going through that, and we found out some of this dark side of the possibilities of what could be going on, I will put the iCard up above so that you can see that you can watch those instances when those discoveries happened and we were all figuring this out together, right? But Brent was supposed to be on the team to help us stay safe while we were navigating this whole labyrinth, right? And so, but the idea that the document, when it was sent to him, that it had a virus on it, I had no fucking idea. Like, Chris Bartell sent that one to me in an email. I saved the document on a Google Drive. And then when Brent was at my house on the trip, and we had been talking about it after our trip to Mount Wilson Ranch, we were like, we should show him the document. So we showed him. I had it printed off in my office, let him read through the whole thing. He sat at the kitchen table in my house, read through the whole thing. I showed it to him. Not like, this is true, this is real. I showed it to him because we were trying to figure it out. And we were hoping that he would help us. And instead, he looked at that like we were trying to mislead him, or like I was trying to delude him or whatever, right? Okay, so let's let him talk some more, and then I'll answer my side of the story a little bit more.
They put me under surveillance. That came along with a PDF that had a virus on it, so I could only imagine they were trying to get access. Oh, yeah, they were trying to get access to my computer. Yeah. So it's like...
So if that happened to him, that happened to me too. So Chris Bartell sent me that PDF file, and I opened it and read it, and it is that whole basically modular study phase 1 that happened, that was done with Kit Green and Gary Nolan and all those guys around the Skinwalker Ranch area for that whole time. It was a whole classified document, right? So, so that file was sent to me, and we were all at my house, and I had a printed off copy in my office, and he sat there and looked at it. And then I said, yeah, I'll send you a copy. So I went and forwarded the email to him. And if it had a virus on it, dude, I'm sorry, but I was not aware of that. But I have no way of verifying if it had a virus or not. And then he starts to say that he got suppressed here. So let's let him talk about that, and then we'll go over the truth of that.
It's disinformation.
They put you under surveillance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went out to Mount Wilson Ranch, where Bustamante went out to.
Yeah.
And we went out with Carl Crusher, went out to Mount Wilson Ranch. They tried to get me to kind of go along with their being let off in the left field with their stories.
Okay, let's stop there. So what happened there was when he came to Mount Wilson 2 separate times. The first time that I invited Brent to come, it was when we went with Chris Bartell, Chris Lado, and we were up there for like several days. And that's when we went up to the cave. We did meditations. Brent put an EEG on my head, and we went to an ancient Native American site on the property and did meditations. And he measured my brain waves, and we communicated and did measurement of that. And that's actually how the History Channel came up with that whole idea on the TV show for Beyond Skinwalker Ranch to do that with Chris Bledsoe. So in season 1 of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, they put an EEG on Chris Bledsoe, and then he did his thing where he does the meditations to summon UFOs, and they measured his brainwaves. That whole idea came because we did this, and Brent did that with me in the ancient Native American cave at Mount Wilson together. But the part that Brent skips over is that the whole time that we were at Mount Wilson Ranch and he starts freaking out about mind control technology, we were also hiking around finding arrowheads and metate stones and ancient indigenous dwelling sites like up the meadow in the creek. And we were wearing his halo pulsars to keep us safe while we were walking around over the meadow, right? Like it was all overlapping. Like is it an ancient indigenous phenomena that's connected to the geology, or is there some harmful technology buried underground? But anyway, this idea that he started getting suppressed. Okay. So here's what actually happened. It's so crazy. After Brent went on this trip with me and we went there, he went home, and what happened was I got an offer from a producer at the History Channel, and they wanted to make Mount Wilson Ranch its own TV show. So we had filmed there twice for the History Channel through the Beyond Skinwalker Ranch series. And this producer contacted us and said, we want to make it its own independent show. We want to connect it all together, but we want it to have its own thing because it has everything here and it's worth it. And there's like an actual mystery that overlaps the government conspiracies with the UFO stuff. So we want to make it a whole thing. And so I was asked by that producer to pick a team that would be on the show. And that was going to include Chris Bartell. He was going to be like our field expert and security guard that had come from the original Skinwalker Ranch. He was going to be on the show. Roger Colty and Colleen Gorman were going to be our Native American guides and experts from the Re-indigenizing Mind Project. And I talked to them and messaged them about how they were on the role to be on the team and be on the crew to come and be on the TV show. We had an archaeologist that was coming up from the Uinta Basin, and he was coming down and specializing in working at Mount Wilson Ranch. And so we had an archaeologist that was coming and working with us and supporting us on the team. And Brent was supposed to be our lead scientist and our safety supervisor to provide the halo pulsars and to provide the headsets and to monitor our health and our brainwaves to make sure that as we were going through with this project, that everybody on the crew working at this could stay safe, from the harmful side effects and the dangers. But as we got closer and closer to this project and we started getting down to the nitty-gritty and the dangerous part of it, instead of staying there and providing his expertise as a colleague to keep us safe with his technology and his experience, he went home, got scared, didn't want to come back, and decided, I guess, that I'm like a disinformation agent. I will say this, when he says that when he came back and he was going to meet with the History Channel, that was a second trip, and it was not the History Channel. It was just the independent producer who came and wanted to meet with us and wanted to meet Brent. So Brent came back to the property, and I'm going to be honest, but I'm also a little bit embarrassed that when Brent showed up, that the guy that was there, that was going to produce the show, ended up in the saloon, and he was a little bit too on the juice the whole time, and we didn't get hardly anything done. We didn't have very many productive conversations, and it was kind of embarrassing. Like it didn't work out very good. So Brent is actually right to say that, like, when he came there to meet with them for like the TV show, I get why he feels like it was trying to go down a different path. I was going through the same struggle because there was a moment where that producer took us out into the trees in the meadow, and he wanted me to like fake a scene like an actor, where he wanted me to run through the trees and pretend like I was scared, like I was running away from something chasing me. And I had like such a huge moral conflict. I was like, that is not what we're doing here, dude. Like we're not faking a fucking TV show. Like what's going on here is real. I'm not going to run and pretend and make some fictional bullshit across actual real Native American ruins and artifacts in a spot where the government was looking for something buried underground or burying something underground since the 1950s. So I'm like, I wasn't joking around, but I get it. That's the whole reason why that TV show never happened, why I ended up not working there anymore, because it started turning into a joke and I wasn't going to fake anything. So the part where he's like, he came there and it was going to be like a thing for the History Channel, it wasn't for the History Channel. It was a producer that we were talking about doing our own TV series. And the guy showed up and Brent was there. And I was like trying to navigate all that thing. The producer got drunk and was drinking half of the time. The whole thing like looked sloppy and messy and unprofessional. And I was like, dude, this is a mess. Like, this isn't going to work out. And the whole thing just kind of like fell apart like a house of cards. It didn't work out. But that's all that happened. But anyway, so when he came for that second trip, we were trying to put together like a pilot episode and a plan and come up and, meet with each other so that we could do our own TV show. And then that happened. The guy was drinking and Brent was like, realized that this was all a joke. So if that made him feel like I was trying to take him down a path, like to hoax him or something, I get it. Like, I was dealing with the same thing and had the same arguments with that guy, with the producer. And I even emailed him and was like, said, dude, you were drunk the whole time. Like, you totally screwed that up. Like, we had a good thing set up and you came and just started drinking in the saloon, man. Like, you screwed that whole thing up. We had a whole falling out and now I'm not working at Mount Wilson anymore. Right. Like, and the archaeologist that I was working with, like, he kept going back to the site and stuck with the owners. And then they all basically ran out of money and wouldn't let me come back anymore. And it's not because I was getting paid. They just wanted me to start giving them money to go there. So anyway, so when he says that, like, he started getting suppressed, let's just talk about the truth about that. I'm going to go full screen here for a second so it's not so awkward, but here's the truth about that. After Brent went home from that second trip and the TV show concept fell apart, what actually happened was I was an affiliate for his website. So basically every video when he came and we worked together and we were using his Halo pulsars, the plan was we're going to fund the project and we're all going to like make sure that we're successful and we're going to keep ourselves safe. We're also going to sell these products and everybody's going to win because then he can make money. We have a way to stay safe and we have a scientific advisor for the team. But what ended up happening is that after Brent went home, after filming with me for that whole video series and everything, 2 separate times, he went home. His website exploded. He started making so many sales, started selling so many Halo pulsars, so many mind-to-mind headsets that he literally was sold out. All of his products were sold out off of his website. Like, you couldn't even get them. And he was texting me and calling me saying that, like, he actually quit his job. He was making so much money off of sales on the products on his website that he had to just basically stay at home all day, hand building these devices to fill the orders. And he made so much money that he quit his job, and him and his girlfriend went on a whole vacation to all these ancient sacred sites across Europe. And his whole Instagram and YouTube was just him going, filming videos like at all these ancient druid sites and temples and pyramids and stuff all over, like all over with his girlfriend. And so when he says that, like, when after working with me that he went home and like all of a sudden he got suppressed, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because the truth is that he went home, his website exploded, he started making so much money that he quit his job to fill the orders. And then he went on a whole like month-long European vacation with his girlfriend. And meanwhile, I was at home and I was losing everything, couldn't pay my bills. You can go back and look at my YouTube videos over the last 3 years and my views suck. My TikTok, I've got 3 million subscribers and I can't even get hardly 10,000 views on a video. Come on, dude. What the fuck, man? Who's getting suppressed here? You or me? your website exploded. You became a millionaire basically, and you quit your job and went on a European vacation for a month with your girlfriend. And I was at home literally losing everything. I got kicked out of Mount Wilson. You started calling me a disinformation agent. So I started losing my friends. I had to sell my fucking house, man. I had to sell my house just to survive. The whole reason I'm even in this office instead of the one that you stayed in when you came to my house, I don't even live in that house anymore because I've had to sell my house twice just to get out of debt to try and survive the suppression. The whole time that Brent was getting texts and claiming that he was getting texts from Utah numbers and stuff, I got an actual cease and desist letter that I'm not even allowed to talk about. I got a actual legal cease and desist that threatening to sue me. Was from someone who is a friend of mine. And at the same time, I was getting those same texts. I got a phone call from a guy who said he knew where I was, what room I was in. He described the clothes I was wearing and started trying to scare me and tell me if you get into the underground tunnel systems, you got to make sure and wear a hazmat suit. Make sure you've got Geiger counters. Make sure there's these anomalous diseases that you could run into underground that could be foreign or not even from this world and all this shit. Like I was going through all of that and selling my house and like trying not to go bankrupt. And you were literally sold out on your website, on your affiliate program and going on a European vacation. And what happened when you made all that money and you went on a trip across Europe with your girlfriend, you kicked me out of the affiliate program. I never got paid. I didn't get a commission or anything like that. And instead of being grateful for putting you in all my videos and promoting all your Halo pulsers and your products, you took all that money, you went on a vacation and kicked me out of your affiliate program. And now you're going on the Concrete podcast accusing me of suppressing you. I got gang stalked after moving into my new house. Within the first month of moving into my new house, I got a call on my phone that was from an official state of Utah police phone number, like a sheriff's phone number. I answered the phone and it's a guy claiming to be a police officer. And he's claiming that I have pending warrants and charges filed against me for online harassment. And he's asking me all these questions and I'm not answering anything. I'm like, I don't have to answer your fucking questions. You can talk to my lawyer. And I hung up. I don't have to tell you shit. And I hung up. And what I did was I called the actual state of Utah, the sheriff's department back. I called the number back. I called it back. I asked for the names of the people, talked to the dispatch, and nobody from that office had called me. It was a total spook. 2 days later, bang, 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 bang on my front door, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, bang, bang, bang. And I go out there, there's a business card that looks like it's from the police department, but it has like this handwritten phone number on the back in pen. And it's like, and it says, "We're watching, call me." I'm like getting gang stalked from this shit. Meanwhile, Brent's on vacation, getting rich off of his website sales on Museum of Tarot, allegedly, going on European vacation to all these ancient sites with his girlfriend. And he thinks that I'm suppressing him, that I'm the disinformation agent. Come on. Like, it's crazy. Like, we were supposed to stick together on this, but he freaking cracked. Okay, let's keep going.
And
who brought you out there?
So I got the invite. So I released videos about the guys that were getting brain damage at Skinwalker Ranch. Bartell was one of them, but you had the guy, Tom Winterton, that was on the Search for Skinwalker Ranch show. Yeah. He came with the big goose egg on his head. I did a video on that, and it triggered the shit out of the people at Skinwalker Ranch. To this day, I re-released the video a couple months ago, and
he's jumping his timeline around there too, because when he released the video it was all after we had worked together. So he's trying to tell the story like he released this video about the brain damage effects of people that were working at Skinwalker Ranch. Like he posted that video and then it created a stir that disrupted Brandon Fugel. And then all of a sudden they like assigned me to call him. None of that is even true at all. None of that is even true at all. Like if you go look at the dates and the times, like when he came out with the video about Thomas Winterton getting damaged from radiation effects at Skinwalker Ranch, that was all after he went home from working with me scared. After he got paranoid and scared working with me at Mount Wilson, and he went home and then made those videos. He didn't make them before, and then all of a sudden I called him and invited him to come out. The only reason he knew any of that was because like me and Chris told him and invited him to come. And we showed him because we wanted his help. We wanted his halo pulsars to keep us safe. But instead of like being a part of our team to help keep us safe, he turned around, got scared, accuses us of being the suppressing agents, and goes on the Concrete podcast to talk defamation against us, really.
Brandon Fugel tried to do a big, damage control comment in the comments of that video because I released something they didn't want released. Okay. So then they wove in with a content creator from YouTube to contact me and say, hey, I'd love to do something with you. Come out.
Okay. So you see how he flipped that story. So he claims right there that he made a video about Thomas Winterton having brain damage effects from being at Skinwalker Ranch. And because of that, that's why all of a sudden I called him and I'm like, hey, you should come out and work with us. That's not true. That's total bullshit. What happened was he made that video after working with us, after me and Chris and all of us ran into that together. And he was supposed to be on our team and help keep us safe as we uncovered that. And instead he went home, made the whole video, and now he's flipping the timeline, trying to flip it like he made the video about the brain damage from radiation effects. And because of that, all of a sudden, like I was assigned from Brandon Fugel to call him and invite him to come out. That is total fucking lie. None of that is true at all. None of that is true. The truth is that I was looking at his YouTube videos. I came across his stuff on TikTok. And when he started talking about the halo pulsars and the dark side of some of this technology and how it can have radiation effects, I was like, he's a guy I want on my team so I can stay safe. And that's literally it. Okay, let's keep going.
We can go to the Mount Wilson Ranch. I'm working with these guys. I didn't realize at the time that he was intimately working with Brandon Fugel at the time.
Oh, I wasn't intimately working with Brandon Fugel. I've had 3 phone calls with Brandon Fugel, and they were all just him saying, hey, I watched your video at the Magic Mesa when you filmed the lights. That was amazing. And then when we talked about making the TV show for Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, he called and we had a phone call about that show where we basically just talked about what locations were legitimately connected to Skinwalker Ranch and which ones that the crew should go to for season 1. And I'm not even on the new season. Like I didn't even get asked to come back. And anyway, but yeah, intimately connected with Brandon Fugel. I've never even met Brandon. Like the only time I've been at Skinwalker Ranch, I was there with Chris Bartell or with Caleb, just like hiking around, like looking at ancient petroglyphs. And they invited me to come up there to look at ancient petroglyphs. That was it. But anyway.
Everyone's Skinwalker Ranch, talking to him all the time. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know the guy's history. This is Carl Crusher.
You can see my full history. I've filmed almost every day of my life since 2009. You can see that if you go further back than even just like 5 years ago, I was married with 3 kids and we were legitimately just like playing Minecraft and Legos and filming vlogs together as a family. And yeah, so that's my background. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't want to get into that relationship or anything, but we had to shut that down after some seedy stuff.
What seedy stuff? So he's talking about me. Let's back this up. This is what he says about me. It's fucking crazy.
Stories. And
who brought you out there?
So I got the invite.
Me.
So I released videos about the guys that were getting brain damage at Skinwalker Ranch. Bartell was one of them, but you had the guy Tom
After.
Winterton
So
that was
this
on
was
the Search for Skinwalker
flipped.
Ranch show.
Yeah.
He came with the big goose egg on his head. I did a video on that, and it triggered the shit out of the people at Skinwalker Ranch. To this day, I re-released the video a couple months ago, and Brandon Fugel tried to do a big, damage control comment in the comments of that video because I released something they didn't want released. Okay. So then they wove in with a content creator from YouTube to contact me and say, hey, I'd love to do something with you. Come out.
I literally just was watching his TikToks and reached out to him because I wanted to work with him. Like, nobody asked him. This is 100% Brent's ego. Brandon Fugel had no idea who Brent was at all. And he didn't even make that video about Thomas Winterton until after he had run home scared and didn't want to work with us anymore. Like, he made that video after he went home. So like, he's not even telling the truth here at all. He's flipping the timeline. Like, he made the video first and then they like assigned me to call him. And that's completely false. He didn't make any videos about Thomas Winterton getting hit with radiation until after he worked with us. And we ran into a lot of that stuff together.
We can go to the Mount Wilson Ranch. I'm working with these guys. I didn't realize at the time that he was intimately working with Brandon Fugel at the time, who owns Skinwalker Ranch, talking to him all the time. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know the guy's history. This is Carl Crusher.
Completely exaggerating.
Don't want to get into that relationship or anything, but we had to shut that down after some seedy stuff.
The seedy stuff that he's talking about is that he got rich off of affiliate sales. So after he came and worked with me and was on all the videos, he emailed me and asked me to join his affiliate program so that I would put a link at the bottom of my videos and that all of you would go buy the Halo pulsars and buy his headsets and his books. And he made so much money that he went home, kicked me out of the affiliate program, didn't want to pay me, and went on a European tour with his girlfriend. And he's going to say that he doesn't want to talk about the seedy stuff. Nothing seedy happened. He went home, got all paranoid, made a bunch of money. And then when I started calling him and trying to talk to him, like, dude, where'd you go? Like, are you going to come back and help me do work or what? He called me all paranoid and was like, are you a Fed? Are you a Fed? And he was like all panicked. And I was like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? And he's like thinking that I was suppressing him and planting his computer with viruses. Meanwhile, he's going on European tour on vacation, getting rich off of website sales, off of affiliate sales. And I'm at home selling my house twice, trying to move and getting gang stalked while my friends go off and get rich on their e-store. I'm in a different house vlogging right now and filming this video in a completely different office than the last time he saw me because I have almost lost everything. So how am I the one getting suppressing him? How is he the one getting suppressed? He made so much money. He quit his job and became a full-time content creator. Now he's on the Concrete podcast. Like, he made so much money. He quit his job and went on a European tour. And then next thing out of his mouth, he's going to say that I was suppressing him as a disinformation agent. Like, what the fuck, dude?
But they had me go out to the ranch, and there was not a goddamn thing on the ranch. I did a lot of...
That's a bullshit lie. He held an old Knights of Pythias ritual sword that we found there. He held and looked at the archaeological artifacts from the indigenous Native American people that we found there. And then he even walked around himself with his own equipment, his own infrasound, and his own sensors, and was like, holy shit, and getting all the sensors himself. And you can watch the entire series by clicking the iCard and go watch it and see him doing it on his own. And you will see all the artifacts, see everything that we found. So for him to say that there is nothing there is 100% lie. There is so much shit there that when we brought in professionals and other crews, like from the Terra Exploration Group and everything, their drones were crashing. When we brought tractor equipment operators out of Vegas to come and try to dig things up, their equipment died and they had to leave. Like, The amount of stuff that we kept finding there and we kept uncovering, it was crazy, man. The whole reason that you're even on this show is because of how much shit we uncovered. So to say that there was nothing there is delusional, man. Delusional. We filmed 2 whole seasons for the History Channel and they wanted to make it its own TV show because there was so much shit there, dude. What are you even talking about? Nothing there? There was nothing there? Are you delusional to say that? You're looking off to the side like that because you know that you're lying when you say that, man. Listen to him say this. It's a total lie.
Relationship or anything, but we had to shut that down after some seedy stuff. But they had me go out to the ranch, and there was not a goddamn thing on the ranch. I did a lot of research into what was going on there with...
There's legitimately an entire box of obsidian spearheads that nobody knows where they came from that were found in the creek, in the meadow, right where he walked. What the hell is he talking about that there was nothing there? He measured the infrasound signals on his own device when I wasn't even standing there. He walked out in the meadow, chose on his own to set his chair up where he set it up, and got the measurement himself. So what the hell are you talking about, Brent? Are you the disinformation agent going on Danny Jones trying to suppress shit? Because you know that we're putting a modular sensor back at Mount Wilson now? And now you're running around doing this shit? Trying to get ahead of me going back there? This is the hitchhiker phenomena, guys. This is what it does. It gets you and your team and your colleagues to suddenly turn at each other and be like, ugh. Like, you know the movie The Thing? Right? In The Thing, they don't know who's infected with the alien virus or whatever, and who's the alien and who's not. And they're all trying to sort it out. And this shit makes you feel like that, dude. Like you get closer and closer to things and you start running into mind control technology or patents that came out of Montauk or DARPA or MK Ultra. And you're going to tuck your tail and run home and accuse all of your friends of being in on it. Come on.
There's a company that put the instrumentation in at Skinwalker Ranch, Sarah, Dr. Richard Dickout, and Dr. Tim Rinn, who were putting equipment on Skinwalker Ranch and Mount Wilson Ranch. Not equipment to monitor high strangeness, equipment to fuck with the human mind, non-lethal weapons and psychotronic weaponry. And it looked more and more to me like they had been experimenting on the staff at these ranches. And one of them was Chris Bartell. Well, I'm out.
A lot of that could be true, but we uncovered that together on the same team, bro. On the same team. And you can go back and you can look at the iCards and you can go back in the timeline and see me desperately making videos trying to tell people that this was a part of it. The dark side of UFOs, the dark side of this. I have a whole bunch of videos about this stuff. It's not like I was trying to hide it.
Out there, and this pops up there. I woke up. We were all staying in Carl's house. I went outside, and they're looking at this on the computer, and it's like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll send you a copy of it, whatever." And they sent me a copy and it had a virus on it. And I go looking through it. It looks like it's 50-50 mixed, neuroscience that would hook me in with UFO shit that there is no way to validate.
So this is just him thinking that that whole classified study and document that was done under the Bigelow era, that this is just his ego trying to say that all of that was created for him to target him because he would be fascinated and like it was going to hook him into some story. And literally all that was a document that me and Chris Bartell had that we were trying to get his opinion on because we didn't know if it was real or not. That's it. I even sent that document to Stephen Greenstreet at the New York Post. And back then, he even considered me to be one of his whistleblowers, for your information.
Whether or not that's real. But a lot of the stuff in that is like a mixture of names I could research and different things that could hook me in. And then the rest was, I couldn't validate it. So I wouldn't release that. But I think they were.
But you did just release it. You actually published it put it in a binder, and just gave a copy of it to Danny Jones. So again, why are you lying again, Brent? I didn't release it. It's supposed to be classified, bro. That shit went to Washington, D.C. and ended up as part of the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. It went to the Pentagon. And you printed it off and are passing it out, dude. Be careful, man. I don't have permission to do that. Do you? Holy shit.
They were hoping I would go along with it and push that out to the public and push that as like an MJ12 paper.
We were not hoping you would share that. We told you, do not share that shit, man. What the fuck are you doing printing it off and handing it out? We told you not to share it. You were not supposed to share it. Why are you publishing it, handing it around? What the fuck? We showed that document to you out of brotherhood and trust, my man. My guy. We trusted you, and now you're printing off copies and handing it out, yo? Like, who the hell does that? Like, you seriously missed the point. We didn't know if it was real either. And if you don't know if it's real, we were like, don't publish it, don't share it, don't show it to anybody. I sent it to Stephen Greenstreet at the New York Post. I don't know if he's even opened the email or looked, but you're printing it off and handing it out, bro. It says right in that file, classified, classified, classified. Dude, we told you not to share it. So the fact that you're lying right now and pretending like we planted that, like we wanted you to share it, you told yourself that, and now you're doing it. You printed a print off like an actual book and are handing it out like a pamphlet. Crazy, man. That is the opposite of what I was hoping you would do, man. The opposite. You're not supposed to share that shit. So what are you doing?
Disinformation piece.
Oh, wow.
And so I was getting played, realized it, and cut out of that. Met with the guys from History Channel on an expedition to that ranch, and it was like, this is not real.
That was just the independent producer who was not working with the History Channel. In fact, the deal that he was looking at was with a totally different network, but he had come out of the History Channel, and Brent is making that assumption and saying that. But that guy did come, and when we invited Brent, he was drinking at the bar the whole time. So I get it. That's fair. That was embarrassing and did not go the way that I wanted. But I didn't plan on it going that way. I honestly was hoping that would go well because I wanted to work together and I wanted Brent to be on the team. That's honestly it.
They're pushing nonsense here.
So what did you mean when you said they put you under surveillance?
Literally, they were watching all my social media, texting me constantly. Tried to put they had my phone numbers. I would get random texts and such when I put a video out to say like, hi, things like that. And it was coming from a Utah number.
So I already said that I got those and I got gang stalked and everything. The only thing that I think of that maybe I could have contributed to this is that I'm on an iPhone, and when you have the message forwarding and all that, like I'll go from texting somebody on my phone and then I'll sit down and I'll pull up the messenger on my computer, on my iMac, and I'll start texting through my keyboard. And like a lot of the times your Apple ID doesn't carry through. So just your phone number comes through, but my number is not a Utah number. I actually still have an old, like a relic Verizon account with my phone service. So I have an Idaho 208 area code. I don't have a Utah number. So I don't think he's talking about me.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's just games, just little games.
Interesting.
And it's going to take a lot more than that to shut me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Skinwalker Ranch thing's super interesting.
Yeah.
They talk about that a little bit on the Mirage Men documentary.
Yeah, I watched that coming down on the flight. Actually.
Did you?
I rewatched it for you. I saw it years ago.
We talked about it on the phone when we first spoke.
Yeah.
But in that documentary, they claimed that they were basically there was some sort of operation where they were doing subterranean nuclear blasts, trying to like frack for oil.
Yeah, plowshare and gas buggy.
Right, gas buggy. I remember that one. And I guess they were trying to test for nuclear contamination in like the vegetation and the livestock. So they were trying to cut out specific glands of the cows. And people thought it was super freaky. Could have been, it must be aliens. Plus they were doing test flights right over the same area, and they were seeing these crazy UFOs they'd never seen before, which was just like the CIA or the Navy doing like secret tests. So they thought, oh, crazy shit in the sky we've never seen. Mutilated cows, must be aliens.
Yeah, that's
so it was like the perfect right place, right time psyop.
Yeah, I did a video about this cattle mutilations with showing the book by Colm Kelleher, who was the guy that was the second in charge at Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if when they were doing NIDS there.
Oh, okay.
So Colm Kelleher was like their biologist. That was.
So now you guys can go watch the rest of this video if you want from there on. The truth is that a lot of the rest of everything that he says is a part of the dark side of ufology and all of this research that we were doing and what we were running into, why I wanted him on the team to keep us safe, and why I was hoping to work with Brent, because he was aware of this dark side, this whole backhanded side of it, how it could involve mind control technology. It could have involved secret DARPA experiments or phased array systems or satellite systems. You know, go watch the whole video, because everything that he covers, the whole background with Michael Persinger, Andrea Puharich, how it connects with Montauk, MK Ultra and MJ12, and all the characters and the people that he doesn't trust, like about John Alexander and all that. Like, I'm right there with Brent, and everything that he's talking about is why Chris Bartell and I wanted to fucking work with you, dude. It's why we wanted to work with Brent and wanted him on our team as like our lead scientist and physicist to help keep us safe, man. But what happened was, when we started showing you what was going on and what we were really dealing with, instead of sticking by our side, Brent started making a ton of money on his website sales. He got afraid of the radiation and the brain damage and the interference syndrome, which apparently, if his devices are supposed to work, then why are you so scared? You're supposed to be the scientist keeping us safe, so why are you running away? So we brought you to be the guy to keep us safe, and then he tucked tail, and Brent ran home and then started exploding in his website affiliate sales, went on a whole European vacation to visit a bunch of ancient ruins and sites, and has had tremendous success, so much that he quit his job and is doing it full time, very successfully. And in the process of doing that, he got afraid of the actual work of going and digging the thing up underground that's doing it. He got afraid of actually showing up at the research site, boots on the ground, and getting his hands dirty and digging in the trenches and trying to get in the tunnel systems like I was doing. And instead he went home and was afraid of everything, quit talking to his friends and his teammates, made a ton of money on his website, went on a vacation, and now we're all disinformation agents? All that happened, Brent, is that you got scared, you went home, you realized that what we were doing was real, and it didn't have to always do with UFOs and aliens. And as soon as that was the reality, instead of sticking with your team and trying to see it through to the end and find out what's going on, you went home and you turned on all your friends now, and you're calling us disinformation agents. That's what happened. And honestly, again, I don't even blame you. I still love you like a brother. And this is what I'm saying, is that I told all you guys, Chris Lato, dude, I fucking told you before you met me and before you showed up. I told every one of you guys. I told Brent Stone. I told all you guys what the hitchhiker phenomena is and how it's going to affect you guys. And then when you all go home and you almost go through a divorce, or you get some medical diagnosis, you lose your job, your money goes in the toilet, you start having nightmares, and you start going through all this pressure, you fucking crack. Even though I tell you that it's going to happen, and I'm like, look, this is going to test us. Even the owner at Mount Wilson Ranch, Jeff, dude, I told you this was going to happen to us. I told you up front, the first times that we sat together and talked about this, I warned everybody on the team. I was like, this is going to pull us apart and it's going to try to eat away at us like a maggot. It's going to pull at your life. It's going to threaten your marriage. It's going to ruin your sense of sleep, your sense of reality. It's going to test you at all these angles, and it's going to make us like gold fever. Everybody's going to turn against each other, and we're going to have the integrity and the right heart and the intentions to see through that and to stick together like a fellowship. And we had that whole conversation up front, and it still fucking happened to half of us, man. Everybody that I know that gets involved in this and around, and if you guys knew the full story and the backstory of what goes on in this work, going out and doing meditations and seeing orbs is really fun, but there is a whole underworld and a dark side to this shit. And some of us are trying to deal with that too. And the only thing is that when we tried to ask Brent to come and help us, as soon as he ran into that side of it, he got afraid and he turned on his friends apparently. And Brent, if you can figure that out and see through it and remember, dude, we talked about that this was going to happen. And when you called me on the phone and you were accusing me of being a disinformation agent, was that before or after you were making shitloads of money and going on a European tour, man? Because I was selling my house and trying to move and survive. And I was watching my YouTube videos and my views and my whole livelihood go in the complete toilet. Anyway, I just get tired of like, I don't like getting bullied, and I don't think Brent's trying to do that. I think he's just like, I get it, man. But we knew that this was going to happen. I told Jeff at Mount Wilson that this was going to happen, and it still happened. By the end of it, it's literally like the Skinwalker plague, man. Everybody gets Skinwalker fever, and all of a sudden everybody is pointing their fingers at each other, making accusations, and you do this, you owe me money, and you do this. Hey, you're cutting me out of that deal. You're trying to get more views than me. How come you took this content? That belongs to me. And it's like everybody, and even though I keep trying to tell everybody in the group and in the fellowship that was going to happen, that we have to keep our integrity intact. We have to keep our eyes, our third eye on the goal. Uncover what the fuck is going on, and if it's evil, kill it. Unplug it. But I can't do that if all my friends get scared and they tuck their tail between their legs and they run home and start accusing me of being the enemy. It definitely makes it hard. Anyway, Danny Jones, Concrete Podcast. If you want to hear my whole side of the story and all the other work that I'm doing and what it actually involves, like some of us are actually the people that let guys like Brent in the gate. Brent wouldn't even get in anywhere and even know anything if it wasn't like for guys like me that called him on the phone and invited him to come and open the front door for him to get in. Like a lot of these people that go on these podcasts are kind of accessories, and they act like they're actually authorities. But anyway, I hope that you can figure it out and you can pull out of that and you can see the truth of what really happened. Because I will work with anybody again. I blame this on the phenomena. I blame this on the defense systems of the phenomena and how it affects us, whether it's man-made or not. Are you going to be able to walk through it? If it is DARPA mind control, then how come you're running away scared when they turn it on you? If they point it at you, are you going to have the guts to go in there and fight Skynet and unplug the machine? Or are you going to run home and hide? What happens is everybody runs home and hides, and then I end up keep trying to go for another year by myself, like all the time. God damn it. That's what the pattern is. My own friends end up suing me and sending me cease and desist because they run into the same shit I'm trying to deal with, and they run away scared, or they don't know what to do. Anyway, I hope you're doing good, Brent. Obviously you are. I wouldn't know because you blocked me online everywhere. You started making so much money selling stuff off your website and affiliate sales that allegedly you blocked me. And I have no idea what you've been up to, man. But apparently you're still going strong. You're on the Danny Jones podcast. So good for you, my friend.